What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Elude Stalwart playing World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth. This is patch 8.1.5, and today we're going to be running on Psycho Crusher. The idea here is we're going to do emissary quests, our follower missions, maybe even some island expeditions if we run out of anything else to do, but the goal is to level our Zandalari rep up from where it's at right now at, like, I want to say 95% revered, maybe even 96% at this point, and just that last little bit, that last push in order to get to Exalted so we can unlock the newest allied race for the Horde, the Zandalari Troll. So we're going to make ourselves a Zandalari Troll today. If the patch, I saw there was a maintenance update actually on the launcher as I was opening up the game. It said that there was going to be maintenance today at 5 a.m. PDT, and I'm not sure exactly what time that is for me. I'm hoping I'm not logging in the instant they took the servers down, because it's 8 a.m. where I'm at. I doubt there's a 3-hour difference. Maybe it's just going to be a restart, though. They said that the realms wouldn't be available for another hour, so I guess we'll just find out. Maybe I have an hour, I don't know. We'll see. Looks like we maxed out. Let's go. Come on. Watch the servers be down the moment I log in. Okay. I was going to say, oh God. Okay, here we go. Alright, so we got our follower missions complete. Let's go accept and return on those. Here's our reputation. We're at 95% revere. See, I thought so. We've got 5% left. We're also under contract with the Zandalari Empire. Like, very worst case scenario, if I have like just a smidge or two of rep left, even after I do the things I can do, I'll just go out and world quest with everybody and get that 10 rep at a time slowly. Alright, we got 3 missions coming back. This one was Champions of Azeroth rep. This one was Honor Bound rep. This one was Zandalari rep. That's 300 Zandalari rep. Oh, 3% to go. We're almost there. Here's some more. That's Talangi's. Here's some more Zandalari rep. Let's go for this one. Don't mind if I do. Let's get some followers. We're already maxed out on followers. Okay, so what do we want next? Honor Bound? I would like to unlock the newest, like, the Honor Bound Magart orcs, but I haven't really been prioritizing them. I think Polished Pet Charm, believe it or not, would probably be better for me than those two. And then I guess I'll go Honor Bound. I probably should have went for Titan Residuum, but I'm not like I'm not a raider, not by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so right off the bat, we got Scheming Street Scamps dispelled. We can do that without very much effort. And I think those guys are just the little, okay, yeah, the little transformed children that are wreaking havoc on the city. I don't think I'm going to make it. Oof. You got to be careful, because the moment those guys start or stop doing their little prank is when you need to click on them. Otherwise, you'll get caught by the next prank. Oof. He said, you be a real killjoy, man. I know, man. Alright, what else? There should be one down here, it looks like. Where is the cheering? Come to me, cheering. Looks like there's one upstairs. Can I go around? Yeah, I'll go around here. Looks like he took it. Okay. A little bit of latency I'm noticing. Ah, damn you. I'll let him have that one. These guys aren't shared, unfortunately. Yeah, like some FPS or something going on. It's not my stream. My stream's fine. I don't know what it is. It's just like a small amount of judder. I'm not sure if you guys are picking that up, but I think my computer is sweating right now for some reason. Oh, damn you. Nice. I kind of just, I was a little aggressive there. I took one. Everybody's allowed to take one. There were 3 of us fighting for that one, so. Survival of the fittest. Survival of the clickest. Got him. One more. Just one last more. Where is the final one? Yeah, man, I kind of can't wait to make a troll. It's going to be so great. It's going to be so great. I think I'm more looking forward to leveling another character. Because honestly, I think that's the part of the game that I've played the most. Probably 96% of my WoW career has just been leveling characters. And as much as I'd like to think that I'd just level them so I can get into the in-game content, that's not really where I end up spending a lot of my time. So what is this? What is this? What is this that my mind or my body or my soul is insinuating to me? Like, am I just a professional leveler? Because I like to get my characters up to a certain amount of, like, you know, kind of like progression. Like Psycho Crusher here, he's above baseline. He was my raiding tune. Now, he wasn't a hardcore raider. Like, I would be a lot further along than this if I was into, like, pushing the bleeding edge of progression. But in my current state where I'm at now, at least where I left off in the guild that I was running with, I was one of the top guys. Like, I was I was probably, like, let's say out of the guild's, like, complete raid team, I was probably like 3rd. I was like 3rd or 4th of the top raiders as far as, like, gearing and let's say, like, and I'm not bragging. Like, I'm not, like, I don't believe in tooting my own horn, you know, unjustly. And I do it with a certain amount of reservation. Like, I'm not trying to, like, highlight my skills or anything like that, because I think that anybody that would have just invested as much time as I would have invested probably could have got even further than I did in that progression. I just have a little bit more playtime than a lot of people have in their normal day. You know, being a stay-at-home dad and all, like, when the children at school, like, this is what I'm doing. I'm either, well, that's not true, because I do a lot of stuff around the house. Oops! And often have to run errands and stuff like that. So, like, that takes me away. But I would say I have at least a couple more hours than most people have to invest in this. One Samdi, let me guess, you got in over your head. I love One Samdi. But, like, okay, so let's say I was like the top 3 or 4. I was definitely top 5 in my guild's raid team. And so this getting to where I'm at right now, like, took minimal effort, and I was still, like, the top of the crop. But it just wasn't enjoyable to me. It was like, I don't know what happens in some of these casual raiding guilds is usually this is the case. Like, you progress up to a certain extent, and you start pushing, like, you know, progression in the raid each week. And then you start noticing that there are people in your raid showing up that either aren't as invested as you are, or maybe it's a skill thing. Maybe they're not as skilled as you and some of the, like, top guys are. But maybe that's what's cool about running with them. Maybe, like, you enjoy the hop on my back guild raid team and I'll carry you. Like, maybe that's your guild's credo. Maybe your guild's like, you know, we'll bring anybody. We could just flexible raids and just bring whoever, and we'll just wipe on the same boss. That's fine. We'll only do it once or twice. We're not going to actually, like, try to push really hard or anything, but, like, we'll see where we're at. And then, like, maybe there's those like 1 or 2 or 3 people who are actually trying really hard will actually progress to an amount to where they can just manage to carry the rest of the team. But I guess, and all that to say is, like, in my mind, whenever we hit that point, that threshold, and it's like, okay, we're going to carry the remaining 5 or 6 people that are halfway committed, that show up sometimes but not all the times, that are honestly constantly changing. Like, it's never the same group of 5 or 6 people. It's always like a mix of maybe 12 or 13 people that rotate out of those 5 or 6 slots. To me, it's kind of demoralizing to think that that's expected of me, or that anybody would expect that from anybody else to just like show up kind of half committed and into a, I guess, an objective where like real life adults are spending real life time away from their families to play this game and just kind of like piss it away every week. Like that really kind of feels like what's happening. There's not enough reward for the amount of effort in that scene, in my opinion. And it could be just my fault. Like maybe I'm not trying hard enough to find a guild that will justly reward me for my time and effort spent. And that's part of it too. Like there is this whole vetting process that needs to occur with guilds, like where you show up and then they show up and then you guys kind of just see if you're a good fit or a good match for each other. I'm very much like a people pleaser by nature, where I will go out of my way to make sure that the group I'm running with is well taken care of and that I'm doing everything in my power that my class can do or me as a player can do to make the run go as smooth as possible. And in some cases, it's just sitting back and blowing up DPS and like trying to optimize like my role in that party as much as possible, just to make the run go smoother. Because the more you can blow stuff up, the less damage the tank will take, and the easier the job is on the healer. But then also, like, if you're like really good, you can CC and control mobs, and the more CC and control you can throw out, the easier the job is on the tank, and then the easier the job is on the healer. And also, like, on the other side of DPS, there's that motivation factor where if you're running with somebody else that's capable of the numbers you're putting up on the meter, if you're like, let's say for example, if I'm running with proxy move here and we're in a run where we're blowing stuff up and he's like neck and neck with me, which was the case a few times. Actually, here's a good example. You got Andromeda and Charisma here blowing it up, and they're within a few % of each other. This can trade off from like one pull to the next if their DPS cooldowns are managed properly, if they're casting the right spells at the most opportunistic moments. Like say there's 3 or more mobs grouped together, you're switching from your single target lightning bolt to your chain lightning in those situations more often, and your arcane mage is doing arcane explosion or, you know, whatever to cleave as much as possible during those cleavy moments. Some classes, some people will just stay at single target. They won't even make an attempt to try to AoE. And I'm not speaking for everybody here, but it's definitely the case where you're not as vigilant in watching like the pattern or like the battlefield. And you could fall behind those 1 or 3 DPS in that pull. And then that added up throughout the run shows like overall how much you actually contributed to the group and your party. Like that stuff, that's what matters to me. That's what I get excited about. That's what I care about. I live my life in this game one pull at a time. It's like, it's kind of cool to say that, like to put it that way. It's like, maybe that's a little try hard, but like that's how I see it really. Like I live my life, or battle to battle. That's kind of the reason why the warrior fits me so much. It's like an extension of my personality a little bit in the play style that I have for this character. He's a fury warrior. Like he doesn't care about like this is how I roleplay him, at least. Like this is how, like, even I think that bleeds into my rotation and style of play. It's like I will blow my cooldowns on a single pull, knowing that I'm not going to have cooldowns for like the next few pulls, just to like, you know, ravage the enemy each battle at a time, like as much as I can. I've been playing with this idea of actually not blowing every cooldown on the big pulls, and just like maybe like rationing my cooldowns out. But I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, is that really a Fury Warrior though? To like just pop Recklessness this pull and then just pop Blood Fury the next pull? I was actually wondering if it would be more DPS to stagger him out. But in some situations, like if there's an AoE pull, for example, you blow every cooldown because they're like, I think the damage stacks exponentially. Don't quote me on that, but you do significantly more damage if you pop all your cooldowns all at once. But more of what I was like kind of vetting in my head was like whether or not it's the most efficient method to do it that way. Like maybe most efficiently for DPS overall throughout the entire run, it's better to ration out your offensive cooldowns as a tank would with his defensive cooldowns. But that's all like super meta, and it's like the type of stuff I like to think about while I'm running, and like it's the mindset that I'm in when I'm playing this game. But aside from that, like if that's my entire focus in the game, like that's not really, like that doesn't really invite the opportunity for me to interact socially with like a community. So like there is that kind of like there's like a longing for that a little bit in the back of my mind, where I would want to run with other people, but oftentimes I find, especially in the game is diverse, and it has such a divergent groups with divergent interests as WoW. Like WoW has so many different players that play with so many different interests and focuses. You're often in a guild that has that same kind of dynamic occurring, like where you're in a guild that has so many different players with so many different focuses, whether it be PvP, island expeditions, maybe prioritizing world quests. I feel like this guild's more of it's a world quest guild. Like this guild is all about them world quests. If any world quest is active on their map, they are not running a mythic, and they're not running, like, they will run raids because that's just like a once a week commitment, and it's only for like 1 or 2 hours in this guild. But like world quests is priority, and for good reason, because the reward's there, and like there's definitely a good motivation factor to running these world quests. But like I guess that split there is just enough to keep me from wanting to be like, I'm going to go out of my way to run with people all the time. But I would love for somebody to run with that had that same focus in mind. But also, like, I'm introverted, so that's something to take into consideration as well. It's like, for me, my play style is often just like, I want to sit here and not talk for 3 hours while I'm playing my class, because I enjoy that. So like, and the more I have to split my attention to like, you know, communicating, I don't know, like it takes something away whenever I have to do that, whenever I have to make sure that I'm keeping like talky with my party that I'm running with. Now it is cool to have voice chat from time to time, but like if you're doing something that's automatic that you already know about, that's kind of like, I'm just trying to get through this dungeon, or these, let's say for example, time walking dungeons. Like if there's nothing that's going to be there that doesn't surprise us, like if there's no need for the communication channel, then I'd much rather just not have voice comms at all. But it's kind of become the standard at this point with most people in the MMO genre. And I'm not complaining here, but it really has just been a staple in the community to have a voice chat system and to constantly be talking, even if you have nothing to say. And that wears on me. Like talking to other people without having like anything really deep or meaningful or interesting to say is like, it saps my energy, and I get wore out really quick from that. That's just because my introverted nature. But if we're talking in the voice chat and you want to go deep, you want to talk about like the world and like physics and like well, not even necessarily like scientific, like really hard conversations like that, but just even like you know, I don't know, just things that are interesting that require you to be in like a deep conversation for 2 to 3 hours, like just to dissect and pull apart and gain an understanding of like that stuff. That's where I think I would really be enjoying that conversation. But if it's just like you know, small talk, I guess small talk, that's what it is. I'm allergic to small talk, I think. You're not really trying to like dig into anything, and what you're saying really isn't that important. So that's what I find with most guilds anyway. Like, you want people to be like, oh, I got this item, and oh, well, I got this item. Oh, there's this boss over here. Oh, do you need help with that? No, I got him. Okay. Anybody running a dungeon later? Like, yeah, we're running a dungeon. Like, that can all be done in game. You don't really need comms for that. So I don't know. I don't know what I expect. I don't know what I want. I don't know where I'm going with this. But, like, that's the state of the game as far as, like, I'm concerned, is that's the social aspect. It's mostly small talk. It's mostly non-meaningful things. And maybe that's my fault because my focus in the game is more just leveling and progression and being an introvert. But this is my goal, just to get my new allied race, so I have something else that I could do that I don't really need anybody else's help or attention to accomplish. So I'm like, at this point, let's see, 1% away from unlocking my newest allied race, and it'd be cool to level with somebody, but I can't be in voice comms constantly if we're doing that. just a heads up, if there's anybody else out there watching this video and you want to run with me, hit me up. Level scaling has made it a lot easier for us to be able to just group up and knock some stuff out. And I'll probably be doing some questing with some queues in between, maybe back-to-back queues at times. I have this method that I've developed over the past allied races with like the Void Elves and all that stuff, where I'll do like I'll quest in a zone, but I'll actually get to a point to where I don't even need to do that. I'll usually just end up questing just to break the monotony of dungeon queues. But you'll get to a point to where you can run specific dungeons, and each dungeon in the old world and like the classic world, or the vanilla world we should say, because it's not necessarily classic anymore, the vanilla world, where if you run a dungeon, there's those 4 or 5 dungeon quests at the beginning. You can knock out those 4 or 5 dungeon quests in that run, and then after that run's over, you don't need to run that dungeon anymore. So RFC, done. You already did the quests in RFC, no more. You can queue up for what's after that? Wailing Caverns, Black Fathom Depths, and those other dungeons, and do those 5 quests. And then after that, you're done. You could go to the next, Dead Mines and all these other ones. So my focus in a lot of those old world dungeons is just that. It's just run in, knock out those quests, never run that dungeon again. And you level really fast that way, especially with bind on account gear. I had to take my bind on account gear off whenever I was leveling with my wife. And I actually learned some things, like leveling with my wife. She's a very new player. I noticed that, and she doesn't really play at like hardly at all anymore, mainly because it's a $15 a month sub, and like I don't think she plays enough to justify having the subscription. I'm also trying not to pressure her into playing, so like I'm just kind of cautiously optimistic she's gonna like come back to the game on her own and start tinkering with it, like as we have, just the extra $15 a month sub going here and there throughout time. And like I had to take my bind on account gear off in order to run with her, because what I found was I was demoralizing her whenever I would run next to her and we'd pull a mob, and then I would go to attack it and it would be dead within 1 spell or 1 global cooldown of weapon swings. And she would end up like, and she's keyboard turning, like she's trying to get up next to the mob, and she'll like attack it, and she'll like be facing the wrong way and have to turn to face it and stuff. And I'm like, use your mouse to turn your camera. You don't have to do it this way. That's not how you have to do it. And like I have to give her space so she can figure that out herself, because she'll get very demoralized very quickly if I'm like, shoulder surfing, telling her what to do. And then also, like, I learned another thing is like, if she's pulled something and she's fighting that, just leave her to that mob. Just let her fight that and then go on to the next mob. And I was thinking about like Naruto and Bleach, and like if you've watched any of these type of anime where there's like combat involved, you have to let even in Dragon Ball Z, for example, like if Krillin's fighting somebody, Goku doesn't jump in. Let Krillin fight his own battle. It'll take his honor away if you try to hop in and, kind of take the fight. And he does that the same. A good example is the Cell Saga. If you ever watch Goku just let Gohan get his ass whooped, it seems kind of hard. It seems kind of rough, especially because Gohan's a little bit of a crybaby, He's like, Daddy, like, you know, why aren't you saving me? Like, Gohan needs to learn he can't rely on Daddy. Gohan's going to have to step up and take care of that himself. There's like a sense of honor in that. The same applies in WoW. You got to let the person that you're running with fight their own battles. You can't just go run up and decimate like what they've worked so hard to keyboard turn, face, and attack. So like running with my wife really taught me that. I thought that was interesting. Something I never considered before. But like that's what I hope to gain with running with more people, is like kind of the different play styles and what's expected. What I can't stand is being carried. I also really can't stand carrying someone else. Not to say like if I'm running with my wife and I'm full bind on account gear, we're in a dungeon, like I'm decimating and she's barely keeping up. I don't feel like that's carrying because she's still learning. And I'm still allowing her to experience combat and everything, but I'm not saying like, let me hop on my level 120 and run you through RFC. That's a little bit, that's a bit much. Like that's way overkill. You don't bring a nuclear missile to a knife fight, you know? Nader says, Elude, are you getting philosophical talking about anime? Oh yeah, man. We're making the dream come true here. Anime and philosophy. Alright, we got Follower Slave. How you doing, man? Welcome to the stream. I was actually talking about how excited I am to be able to level a new class, actually. And, like, my philosophy is really kind of like, in the game, for whatever reason, like, I was saying, I really kind of live battle to battle. I don't care where I'm at, whether it's PvP, whether it's in, like, raiding, and island expeditions, or war fronts, or whatever. Like, my focus is, like, how am I getting back into combat? Because that's what I really care about. And leveling a new class is really that. It's like being able to do that all with a fresh perspective or a new class. And, yeah, I always think whenever I'm leveling a new character that I'm taking away from my bleeding edge in-game progression. And part of me kind of wants that in-game progression aspect. But part of me really doesn't care. Like, in-game progression often means you're just sitting in a casual guild waiting for them to catch up to your gear level. Like, not obnoxiously, like, not like self-important, like, boosting or anything like that. Like, really just, how many times can you fight the same fight each week and die to the same mechanics over and over before you start expecting more from the people you're running with? Or before you start realizing, like, these 6 people that show up, that are always different 6 people, are what's holding us back. Like, I can't do that very often before I get bored, or before I just stop showing up to raids. And I was talking about that earlier, like, really, it's my fault for not trying to find a guild that's better than that. But at the same time, like, it's just too much work. It's too much effort to try to, like, vet all these guilds with all these divergent interests the way they are in the game. Because a lot of players are like, hold on, there's world quests up. I can't run this mythic with you. Let me go do all my world quests. And maybe in an hour or 2, I'll run with you. Or, like, you know, oh, hold on, like, the weekly is time walking. Let me get all my time walking done. And then, like, you know what I mean? The more people you involve, the more you're kind of subject to that kind of stuff, where you're kind of waiting on 1 or 2 people. And that, for me, takes me out of combat too long, when I'd rather just be, you know, playing my class. I'm really kind of a grinder. Nader said, thanks. Oh, right on, man. I've already moved on a mile a minute. I forget, like, what you were thanking me for. But you're welcome. You're always welcome, Nader. Here we are, look. 99% away. Or, let's say 1%, 99% into Revered. 1% away from Exalted. We're about to roll our Zanda Troll, Zandalari. I don't know if it's going to be a Paladin or a Druid, because I pretty much resolved, at this point, I'm making a duplicate character if I'm leveling another Horde. Because I got the Demon Hunter, the Monk, the Warlock, the Death Knight, yada yada yada. So really all that's left is re-rolling one of the same class. And I was thinking, like, what class is that? What would I rather, you know, play again if I've already played them all? And my favorites would have to be Druid or Paladin. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to blow your ears up. Be careful. Oh man, that was a big sneeze. I'm glad I was like struggling to mouse over to mute myself. Oh my god. Yeah, either Druid or Paladin, I'm thinking. But there are other classes, like it could very well, very easily be any of the other classes. It seems kind of dumb to me to level another character, because I think at some point I'm probably just going to switch the races or something. Here we are, Zandalari Empire. Earn Exalted status. Okay, look, we've done it. The Zandalari Empire. And of course the guild's going to be like, grats. I'm just going to hide chat. Now we're going to go and make our Zanda Troll. So excited. I'm really excited because I want to see a Troll Paladin. I think that's going to be sick. Troll Paladin? Are you for real? I've always dreamed of this. But then also, there can be the new forms in the Troll Druid. I was actually thinking Druid. Because with a Druid, you get... Oh, I should have checked the Quartermaster. But with the Druid, you get the new forms and the abilities. Like, well, I don't know what the racials are. But you get the new cosmetics. Like, I've always been such a huge fan of the fact that they allow druids to become trolls or trolls to become druids, because when I made my druid, it was back in the cow days. Like, my druid was a cow. And I was so jelly after I'd already leveled and maxed this druid that they allowed trolls to become druids. This is how old my druid is. And ever since then, I've kind of like resented my druid a little bit because he's a cow. And not that it matters, I've always kind of like justified it to myself in my head that, well, he's always in shapeshift form anyways. And I've always tried to like toot my own horn for the fact that I could actually just make him moo. Because like no other class in the game can moo. Except the cows, the Tauren. The Tauren could go moo. So that's kind of justified it a little bit. But I've always really wanted a troll druid. And the Zandalari troll druid is like putting NOS on a troll. It's like hooking it up with Twin Turbo. You got Twin Turbo Troll. Ooh, that's a good name. I'm going to name it Twin Turbo. I love that. Because that's what comes to mind when I think of the trolls. Where is this guy? The embassy. It's this way, right? Nader says, haha, WoW has become a rather casual game. Hope they take some of the design philosophy from Classic and put it into the next expansion. I hope they go a little more sandbox with it too. I've always heard that the sandbox games, like in the idea that something is a sandbox, I've never actually really understood what that meant. Like sandbox is like, I know what comes to mind is like Spider-Man, the Spider-Man games, or if you've ever played Prototype or GTA. GTA is a sandbox game, right? But how would they do that with WoW? How would WoW become a sandbox game? Am I missing something? Oh, here it is. What? Earn the achievement Tides. What? Tides of Vengeance. What? How? Complete the Tides of Vengeance war campaign? How have I not done this? Oh man, this is one of the moments, man. It's one of the moments where it's like, oh, Soul Crush. What do I have to do for Tides? Mechatork's battle plans. Through the front door. Is that this? That's the war campaign. How do I get on that? Okay, Mechatork's battle plans. Oh, you know what? I know what this is. And I knew this was going to happen when I did that. Oh, man. Give me a moment. It shouldn't take long. Tides of Vengeance is pretty easy. And it'll be well worth it. It will be well worth it. WoW is, though. You're right, man. WoW is a casual game now. It really kind of is. I guess when I get up to a level of progression where I'm dedicating, like, you know, a week of work to the culmination of, like, defeating this boss in a raid, and I don't feel like other people are doing that, that's where I get demoralized. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna try that hard anymore. I'll just find a different focus or goal. And that often just leads to me leveling another character, because really, what is there interesting to do in the game for somebody that's 363 item level? Like, rerun the same mythics? I mean, there is the increased difficulty, and maybe there's some reward in that, but it's really just a lot more stressful to run the same dungeon again with strangers, or maybe you have a group of guildies that you run it with. I think I gotta go to the other continent. Later says, in the terms of MMO, think Arcade. Arcade, really? Arcade is a sandbox style? I played Arcade. I got to the max level and realized that the game, like the progression in the game stopped unless you went like pay to win, unless you started like investing money in the game. It was a free to play game up until that point. And then like also the grind of it all became like crafting based. I don't know. I really loved it though. Arcade, I loved the whole game, all the way leveling up until even the PvP. Like I didn't mind the PvP at all, being able to just like while I'm streaming, somebody figure out where I am in the world and run out and kill me. Like I actually had a nemesis, and they were wearing like a bear costume. I still remember, it's like burned into my memory. This person kept killing me, but it was fun. It was like exciting. And I really love the class design, how they played, the combat system, like all of that. But once I hit max level, and that's all there was to do, was like whatever it was at the time, I forget at this point. But once I hit that threshold, I was just like, oh, this game isn't for me. And that felt bad. I didn't really like that. I believe this is the part where I'm on insurance renewal. Yeah. I gotta do the Mechatork quests. Okay, let's go quest. I'm a little demoralized because I really thought I was done. Like I was like, oh, I'm just gonna quest. I'm gonna do my world quest just for a few minutes this morning and be rolling a troll. And Twin Turbo, I gotta remember that's his name. Don't steal the name while I'm doing this, please. But yeah, Arcade was pretty fun. Nader says, yeah, that's my problem with Guild Wars 2 right now. You have to craft to progress armor, and I'm not a crafter at all. Yeah, man, they've even kind of like tried to revivify crafting in WoW as well. I can't grind materials like that. I mean, and it's weird because I think it's just really like, for me, it's just a perspective change. Like I could just like look at it from a different point of view and probably feel justified and even validated in actually doing what's required to get to that point. But it's just, once it comes to a point to where it feels like I'm doing dailies, this is part of the reason why I could care less about world quests. Unless it's got something that's keeping me from like what I'm actually trying to do. Like, for example, the Allied Races was a good example. Unless it said Zandalari rep, I didn't care. Like, this, you could put whatever, epics, legendaries, whatever on this list. If it doesn't have to do with like getting to what I want to do, then I could care less. Like I don't even know if I would go for, I mean, I probably would go for a legendary. Like don't get me wrong, but let's say if it turned into, oh, get this item to build a legendary, and in 3 months, if you kept on doing that, you would have your legendary. I'd be like, fuck that. No, thank you. I would not go out of my way for that. Like, honestly, that's been the case for every legendary that's been that way for me so far. But whenever it's like, this is part of your class progression, and the main story takes you to go get the weapon anyways, just to level the character up, like they did in Legion, like, that was obvious. Like, oh, okay, well, might as well. But then whenever they started making those tokens, whatever they're called, at the end of the expansion, in order to like buy your legendaries, the ones that you weren't missing, or if you wanted to target a specific legendary, you get so many of these. I mean, I can look at it. If you get so many of these Awakening Essence, then you could go purchase. Look, Epic Pro has 1,265. Nightmare has 1,519. I don't know if that's a lot, but they got that much, and I could care less. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way for something like that, because they've essentially turned it into a daily. And ever since the Burning Crusade, and when they first introduced the idea that you run dailies to get what you want, I was like, nope, those are chores. No, thank you. I have enough chores IRL. I don't need in-game chores. Maybe that's a immature way to look at it, but that's how I see it for whatever reason. Like, you're not going to compel me to play this game the way I want. Damn you, Mama Blizz. But Guild Wars 2, another really good game. But you hit that point, there's a threshold once you hit it. Like, when it feels like a repetitious, grindy, like, daily, like, I fall off. And then Elder Scrolls Online, I really enjoyed Elder Scrolls Online. The style, dungeon delving and stuff like that. The classes and, like, the way leveling felt in that game. But the moment I started trying to do, like, multiplayer or group content, and I was barred from entry because I didn't have the required 2 or 3 DLC that they had in order to run something with them. I was like, oh, really? I don't have the DLC to required? And it wasn't like I was already max level and I needed to buy the next expansion type thing. It was like, no, as you're leveling up, you can experience this content, but you have to pay extra for that. I was like, nope, no thank you. That kind of made me fall off of Elder Scrolls Online, which I thought was a really good game. So there are certain things, I guess, in my innate style and nature in gameplay, like certain values I hold, that once you mess with those, you just you've lost me. No thank you. So I have like a set standard or rules that I follow, but I don't think about it consciously. Like, I couldn't tell you what those were, but I know it when I see it. You know what I mean? Nader says, that's exactly what Guild Wars 2 is. Hate it. I'll never have a Guild Wars 2. Yeah, that sucks, man. And I hate that. I hate, especially if it's a really good game. It's like, ah, damn. It's like a 50-yard fake out. It's like one of those butter faces. You know, she's fine, but her face. It's like, ah, got me. Or the 50-yard fake out. For 50 yards, you know, we're good. But once you get within that 50 yards, it's like, oh, okay. Yeesh. He said, lol, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, man. What is it? Fizzle rescued. That type of stuff, man. Ah, so much potential, though, one day. And that's what I hope for. Like, I dipped my toe back into Rift. Have you ever played Rift? Tryon's Rift? I did that recently. That was actually really good. I was really enjoying that. For whatever reason, whenever I came back, like, I bought that game when it first came out. So I had, like, this Founders Pack activation. But then I later found out that everybody has that if you just go and play the game right now. I think at some point, I don't know if they do it for current new players, but at some point, some kind of a content patch or whatever was released. And I think of it like WoW's anniversary stuff, like their Blizzard's 14th anniversary or whatever, where if you log in or if you have an account before that day, then you have access to this little bonus or whatever. And SWTOR did something similar. But whenever I went back, I had like patron status or whatever, and which meant I had like boosted XP and I was getting all these extra goodies and just for playing the game. And that was fun. That was enjoyable. And I only had like a week of it or something, or a couple weeks worth of it. And I got an email just yesterday, I think it was, that said that had ran out. And when I saw that email, like, I didn't even open the email. I just saw that your patron's status is ended. I was like, well, never playing that game again. But even Rift, like, I dipped my toe back into those games, and there's always that potential that you're gonna be able to load it up one day, and they're gonna fix that thing that you don't like about it, and then, like, you know, that's gonna open up, you know, the whole game to you at that point. And I'm cautiously optimistic about that type of stuff in all these games: Elder Scrolls, Arcade, Guild Wars 2, you name it. Like, I'm most likely played it, and I still hold true to that. Like, if they fix those things I don't like about it, I would play it. Because there are times I don't want to play WoW anymore. Like, I've already done what I wanted to do in WoW, and it's time to park it and let the sub run out. So I need another game in those interim periods. Like, just those past couple months, I've been kind of like soul searching, looking at all these other games I've had and Diablo 3 is a really good example of a game that did something that I liked, that I just really wanted to get back into. And I did for a while until I had my fill of it, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it at this point. Like, this is kind of what the grind looks like. And it's cool for a while until the grind just becomes a little soul-sucking or a little bit, like, a little bit too tedious. And I think one of the shortcomings for Diablo 3 was just, and this is true for even WoW and a lot of games, is there's so much information out on the game that it becomes this cookie cutter thing where it's like, follow this build guide, get all these specific items of gear. If you don't have one item from this gear set, then you're just weaker than everybody else. Like, that's kind of that's a little soul-sucking for me, and I fall off very quickly when that becomes the case. Like, I want to play a game like, and this is probably teasing a little bit of what's to come this summer. And I heard summer, but I also heard some conflicting information recently. And tell me if you've heard anything like this. But World of Warcraft Classic's coming out, right? I heard this summer, but at the same time, I heard like one of the prominent streamers of Classic content, or content focused on WoW Classic, say something like winter, and that kind of like caught me off guard and demoralized me a little bit. I was like, what? Winter? I thought it was summer. Like, when is Classic coming out now? Like, I wonder, what does he want? Confront Mechanoturk? Oh, he's just RPing. Okay. So, I got distracted trying to figure out what this wanted from me. But yeah, like, what was I saying? Shit. That's kind of how WoW is too. Oh, right. Like, okay, so what I want from a game is, back in Classic, vanilla WoW, like, before BC came out, the state of the game was like, it was perfect. It was like, if you have a tree, it was like the spring season of that game where the apples were blooming and, like, the root was as ripe as it was going to get, like, that season. Like, when that season hit in the game, and I feel like WoW's been slowly descending into a winter ever since, but like, when WoW was in that perfect state where there was just enough information out to get you past those quests where you had to go on Thoughtbot just to figure out where the quest wanted you to go, because nobody understood, like, there was a secret cave that you had to go through and you had to make a left turn instead of a right to find the item or whatever it is. Like, Thoughtbot was really awesome for that, and that alone. But once you got into a point where you're like, okay, so if you want the Bulwark of Azeroth or the Foe Destroyer Sword of all 1,000 Truths or whatever the item was, like, you have to go farm gnolls for 18 hours, and with a 0.002% chance, the gnolls after 18 hours have, you know, a chance to drop the Bulwark of Azeroth Swords of 1,000 Truth Incorporated LLC.com. Like, that's where it gets soul-sucking. It's like, okay, that's too much information. Like, that's so much information, I'm demoralized because I know exactly what's required, and I'm not willing to do it. But there are people out there willing to do it. And it's like, you're never going to compete with those people because you're just not going to put that time in like those people will. So, like, that, like, I want a game like that has just enough information to get your foot unstuck whenever you get stuck in the sand or something. But, like, not so much information that it's, like, chronic and things are quote-unquote optimized and cookie-cutter at that point. So, and that's why I really loved Black Desert Online. So here's another game, like, I'm really keeping my eye on in the back of my head that, like, at one point, one day, I'm going to see this game and it's going to do what I want it to do, and it's going to be perfect. At least for a little while, it'll be perfect. At least until the next patch comes out. You know, there will be this little golden period. But, like, Black Desert Online was like that, where there was no information. Like, you went in, and as you were playing the game, like, people in the community are ravenous for this type of stuff. They start talking to each other and exchanging secrets. And then there's, like, all this, like, conspiracy theory where it's like, no, if you farm this place, for 3 hours, like, a certain mob will appear, and you can kill that mob. And this isn't exactly like what the game was doing, but, like, this is an example. It's like, I seen it. It's all like this anecdotal information, but nothing that they could prove to you. and nothing that you can go and just look up and find out for yourself. It's like, how much do you trust this person that's telling you that they got this item that's like, you know, as powerful as you're trying to get? That type of stuff, that's cool. Like, whenever you have to like rely on people's reputation, whether or not like they can show you the money, or whether or not like they know what they're talking about. But then even then, like when you go and try to do that, this game was so crazy. This is something that me and my cousin were talking about. This game is so crazy that the moment you create your character, if you look at your character creation screen, in the background of the screen there were stars, like constellations of star systems while you're creating your character. And those stars changed, like they had like a time a scale where the pace of the stars transitioned within a certain period, kind of like the open universe that the world exists in real life. There were certain periods where if a certain star system was in the background of your character and you created your character at that specific time, this is the type of shit people were saying in this game. That you create your character at this specific time and certain constellations were active, then your character was just innately more lucky. Or even more, like your character was just innately faster. Like your character could run faster than other characters who just created their character in that game. And that type of shit, like, and I don't know if this is true. Like, I still don't know if this was true, but like that got me giddy. Like, I was like, no fucking way. Like, is that really to the depths of this, how this game works? Like, is this how much thought people put into making this game? And there was still no confirmation. There was like no like, yes, this is true, or no, this isn't true. You would ask the developers and they would give you like a little tongue-in-cheek winky eye face. Like, oh, is that what you found out? Oh, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? And then you'd be like, what does that mean? So like that type of stuff, man, like I want a game like that. But then there's like a malicious side to it where if you get like a guild or a community of like 5 or 10 players that find out something like this, they wouldn't openly share the information with everybody. They would like just share it with their circle of friends. And then you would notice that this circle of friends here is getting more and more powerful every time you see them. And they're always doing these set like handful of activities over and over all day, every day. It's like, what are they doing? And they would tell certain people, they'd be like, hey, if you go over here and if you level up this node where the gnolls spawn, because you could invest energy or something to level up an area that you wanted to grind. So for example, if I really wanted to farm mobs in Bridgeport, I would have a certain amount of energy or currency I can invest into the development of Bridgeport. And then if I ran around and killed mobs in Bridgeport, they were more likely to drop quote-unquote better items for me. So there was this information going around, and I'm willing to bet even misinformation, where people were encouraging other players to go level up either super powerful towns or areas, or maybe a little winky face, like they were trying to instigate people leveling up, you know, less lucrative areas just so they had the lucrative areas to themselves. So that type of stuff was happening as well, where there was like this guarded information that was potentially something useful that was a little like detrimental, that if you knew it or you didn't know it, like there became a power gap in the game. So that made me less enthusiastic about like not knowing a whole lot about the game, not being able to prove that this stuff was true or fake, and then just being like paranoid. you're having to play this game where you're just paranoid that people are outsmarting you, or people are like, you know, giving you misinformation to make you like, you know, less effective with your gameplay. Because there was leaderboards. You could open up a leaderboard and look at it, and you could see like, oh, this server right now has active the most top, bestest, highest ranked fishermen. And then you would go and like try to find this guy in the world, and there would be a way, I forget how. It was like something through chat channels or something. You could find out that this guy is like, for whatever reason, he's always just east of Tiragard Sound right here in this corner of the map. And it's like, oh, so you're saying the best fisherman is just east of Tiragard Sound in this corner of the map, 18 hours a day? I wonder, like, obviously, you would go to where the best fisherman is so you could go catch more fish, right? So there were things like that where you had to figure it out. But then also, like, maybe, what if that best fisherman in the entire server of the game is hanging out over here 18 hours when he's not playing? That's where he's logging out. He's just got something that's keeping his computer active while he's logged out. And everybody's going over there to fish a pool that has the least likely drop chance of anything useful. And they're wondering, you know, this is the type of shit. And that stuff, like, I'm smiling ear to ear just thinking about it, because that's fun. It's like, you don't know. And everybody's mixing you up, so you can't know. Nair says, see, my theory on that would be, if it's not character specific, then that's just bad game design. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel too, like the character creation thing. If the stars are aligned a certain way, like, it should be that you are the guild's best horse breeder, and we should rely on you to make us horses or give us information on how we can better, you know, because they had horses in the game and you could train them to run faster. And some people were just innately better at training their horses to run faster than other people. You could spend 3 times as much time trying to train your horse to run fast than a person that knows what they're doing. And that person in 30 minutes could have like a really fast horse for you. Whereas you were like, man, I would spend 3 days trying to get a fast horse. That is good game design, in my opinion. It feels like it's lopsided and that there's like this power balance. And maybe if you really like, you've always dreamed of, you grew up on My Little Pony and you've always like been on a ranch where you raise horses and you just thought like, I'm going to go into this game and I'm going to be the world's best #1 horse trainer. And then you just weren't because you rolled your character and he just isn't a good horse trainer. And like there's people way better at it than you. Then that could be a little demoralizing. But like that also encourages you to maybe become a blacksmith and see if your character, the one that you rolled that time, is just innately better at blacksmithing. Or maybe you're just good at killing mobs and getting great drops from killing mobs. So maybe you take that character and go kill mobs. So all that to say is like they encouraged you to experience all the different avenues of progression in the game that way. So you didn't just naturally know what your character is good at. And that's kind of true in IRL as well a little bit. It's like sometimes you just got to go out there and just try different things to find out what it is you're good at in real life. So there's like real life values and lessons incorporated in this game design. Are you serious? Like that to me sounds like a pretty interesting game as well. Nader says, I mean, that's allowing people essentially to cheat the system or at worst to disable the other players from enjoying the content of the game. Yes, that is correct. Like the safeguarded information thing and actively trying to instigate people to go do like what's not going to help them so they can corner the market on something. But to answer that, this game's game designers know what everybody's doing whenever they're logging in. And they could see in the community forums or on the YouTube videos just as well as anybody else, like what kind of guides are being developed and like what kind of, you know, activity, large scale guilds and stuff like that we're doing. So a lot of the developers were active in switching up those game mechanics. And if they have it kind of set up like a modular system where maybe reputation and drops and stuff like that can be tweaked without affecting other parts of the game, like they could actively help mitigate like when this was occurring. And I remember them changing things like the drop chances on items and like kind of the what's required before you can get certain things and all that stuff. And then being very good about that. So like to answer that, they did have like, you know, systems in place to help mitigate that type of unfair gameplay. And they were really good at like, I guess, managing when that stuff was occurring. So like BDO is another game. In the back of my mind, like I'm going to play that game again one day. It's going to happen. But just, I can't right now. Just not right now. Part of the reason, the main reason is like since then, the desktop I had that was running BDO pretty good, that was making it to where I could at least kind of stream it at the fidelity and quality that you could see me streaming World of Warcraft. Like it wasn't great, but it was functional. Like I could still at least stream BDO on my desktop. But since then, my desktops took a dump, and it's been years or whatever. But I'm still like, if I get a beef enough rig in order to run it, I'm gonna go back to that game and see what's up because, and the nature of the game, like I know and I'm thinking about it now, and I'm getting a little demoralized because I know there's this huge mountain of progression that I've fallen behind on. But they have patches and updates and ways to get characters back into MMOs nowadays. Like WoW is a really good example of that with level scaling, where like you can kind of bridge that gap a little bit better or more successfully nowadays in a lot of these MMOs than would be the case like back in the day whenever MMOs were still fresh. So like I'm again, like my favorite, cautiously optimistic that maybe they would have something to like help speed up my progression or get me reacquainted with the game a little better nowadays. But yeah, man, I'm always thinking about and looking out for all these other MMOs. And that's also why I love you guys. Is like, if you guys know of a game, or if you're playing a game that might be worth my attention, let me know. Because, like, you know, I live for this stuff. I love this stuff. And these MMOs, man, they're getting better. Like, a lot of them, they're kind of like themes that are popping up. Like, you know, hack and slash dungeon grind. Or like Korean MMO grindy, like where you're just like endlessly farming something for hours. But it's really like different strokes for different folks. Like if you know of anything like that you're interested in, there's a good chance I might be interested as well. So let me know. Like what you were saying about Guild Wars 2 kind of got me interested. But like, I don't know. Whenever I hit that point of dailies and the grind fest or whatever, if I feel like the time I'm invested isn't time well spent, then I'll very easily fall off. What is this? Scenario? Oh, okay. I thought this was a dungeon I had to do. I was like, no, I don't want to have to queue. They wouldn't do that to me. Not in the main war campaign story. Make me have to run a dungeon. I thought it was this dungeon that I would have to queue for in a party. I was like, ah. But yeah, I just love, my favorite thing about BDO was just the breath of fresh air in the new genre, or in the same genre. Like, the same genre, they took the MMO, and they also had like the live action like aspect. The whole combat system in that game is solid. I love the way combat works in that game. And it's like a live action combat system, not like WoW, but like you move your mouse, and as you're moving your mouse just like this, your character's moving, or where he's facing is moving. And it's kind of like Terra, the way the combat system works. Or what's another example? WildStar. WildStar is another game that was like that. But that combat system, it was unique to that game, and it was really good. And that's actually, if you look at my channel icon, the black spirit in the bottom right corner there, he's peeking through the YouTube thing. That's where I got that icon from. There was a black spirit in that game, and I thought that was really cool. Kind of like the little storyline and progression with that guy. It was kind of neat, because you wake up and you're like this hero that doesn't remember, and the black spirit's like trying to integrate with your soul or something like that, and you're doing missions for him, and you can see him growing in power. He starts out as like a tiny little blob, but then he starts getting bigger, and like he starts becoming more humanoid as you're progressing. And that whole concept was really cool. I thought it was awesome. But yeah, man, like, there are good games out there. I want my laptop or my PC or my gaming rig to be a lot better for some of them before I actually stream them. Another good example of a game that I'm thinking of like that is Spellbreak. So the guys who made Fortnite, Epic Games, they've made a new MMO, or they're coming out with a new one. It's more of like a first-person shooter style game, but it's Fortnite. It's essentially Fortnite, but instead of guns and like, you know, characters with loadouts and stuff like that, you have instead of that, you have a caster. Like, you're all mages. I think you start out, and the game's called Spellbreak. But you have different affinities and magical powers like lightning and toxicity, like toxic powers. So you could throw like a giant toxic cloud off in the distance, and as you see like the gas in the air and everything from that toxic cloud, if you have a lightning power, you can throw that lightning bolt inside of that toxic cloud and supercharge your toxic cloud with electricity, and not only be poisoning everybody, but shocking the shit and stunning out of them. And they have another one where, like, if you have the toxic power with the fire glove, then you throw a big wall of fire out, and you could supercharge the fire with electricity. Or if you have like the toxic cloud and the fire gauntlet, you throw out the toxic cloud, and then you throw a fireball at it, and then you blow that toxic cloud up, and you have like this green fell flame that shoots out. So it's like combination of different powers, but like a battle royale style gameplay. And that's pretty interesting. It's really fun to play too, but my laptop is like hanging on by a thread whenever I'm running it, so there's no way I'm possibly going to be able to stream that. But I have the closed alpha access right now, and I've been tinkering with it here and there, but it's so bad on my laptop that I can't even barely enjoy it, even just playing it without streaming it. So I have the access, but I'm going to be playing it at a later date, kind of like BDO and some other games like that, where it's just a little bit too advanced for my laptop. Star Citizen is another one like that. Star Citizen's pretty awesome. I really enjoy playing that one. But that one, like, that's like, your laptop or your computer's got to be pretty boss hog in order for you to run that game. At least the way I would like to play it. You know what I mean? Nader says, the only game I have my eyes on right now is Ashes of Creation. I've heard of this, but I don't know if I've looked into it. And yes, I played BDO. Like you, I couldn't play it on a potato as well, so I sort of gave up. Yeah, man. Same here. Like, some of these games, you don't do it justice unless you're playing it on an Uber gaming machine. Yeah, I watched Lazy Peon play it. It looks good. Oh, right on. You've seen him play the Spellbreak? Spellbreak's pretty awesome, man. I go in now, like right now, and I turn my graphics settings all the way down, and I minimize my window from maximize to windowed mode, and I run it on like 1280 by 720. Like, I'm able to play it like that, but everybody's so small, and once spells start going off, I start juddering a bit, and I run in and, like, I don't know what it is right now. I haven't learned the game very well, but as soon as I see another player, they're throwing like 1 or 2 spells at me, and like I'm dead. So I don't understand what's happening right now with that because I'm not sure how I'm getting killed, but I definitely want to explore it a little bit more. For my purposes right now, as far as like streaming's concerned and streamable games, like I'm doing a lot of these flashback and throwback games just because my computer can at least run those pretty well. Like I can run those without much problems. And I'm supposed to be freeing prisoners. I haven't seen any, but the flashback and throwback days are allowing me to play games at least in their highest fidelity that the game's designed for. So like that's kind of a reason why I'm doing those games. But then also like there are a lot of free to play games out there, like on Steam specifically, that don't require much in order to run them. Rift is another game outside of Steam that's like that, where it's just an older game, so the design allows for older computers to run it a lot better, just because of the graphic engines or whatever. But I'll probably be revisiting SWTOR and like, you know, Rift. I was thinking about streaming, but I wanted to max a character out first to kind of like pick up like where I left off, at least, and like what the end game looks like in Rift. Because a lot of MMOs, the end game is what dictates how fun the game is, in my opinion. Like, I want to know if a game performs well in the end game before I invest any time at all in it. So some of those games I want to actually like go back to, but I want to introduce the stream to what the end game looks like. Because to me, like, there's nothing more motivating in an MMO than knowing that the end game is worth it. Because you have to invest such an ungodly amount of time into just leveling up to the max level nowadays. So I want to make sure that if I'm playing another one of those other MMOs like that, I'm able to show you that this game is worth it because. So that's kind of like, that's what I have planned for the future a little bit. But a lot of these tried and true, like World of Warcraft, most people know World of Warcraft is pretty decent. It's good for at least a few months at a time if you come back and resub every once in a while. And when the new expansions come out, there's usually enough hype there. But that type of stuff is probably what you can expect. And a lot of those Steam free-to-play games and stuff like that, I'll probably be showing more of as well, just because I have a lot in my library that like I need to go back and just like play, just because it's been so long I've forgotten what the game's like. So just like playing a lot of those just for a little bit of nostalgia is I think pretty interesting, both for me and probably for the viewer. So Nader says, why? You should start a brand new one. Let that be part of the journey with that game. Oh, like start a new character in those games? I mean, that's a possibility too. Like that's what's awesome, is like I could be flexible enough to do that type of stuff. And even just starting a new character to show just like what a noob can expect leveling up. I'm just more curious, like in my mind, like what I was saying about in-game MMOs and stuff like that. Like I hate to, like, Elder Scrolls Online, like I hated that I invested so much time in it for it to just not meet my own personal, you know, philosophy in gaming. It's like, Arcade is another huge letdown for me, that I spent like a couple weeks, maybe even a month or two, leveling up in Arcade just to find out, like, at the end I wasn't going to keep playing it. That was a little demoralizing. I feel like I could have spent my time somewhere else, but I guess at the same time, like, that's part of the fun of it, like the education along the way. I don't know. Look, that's what's cool about my channel, is like I could do that. Like it's really just what you guys want to see or what I find interesting to play. If we could have a marriage of those things, then that would be awesome. Like if we could find some happy medium between like what viewership wants and then also like what I'm enjoying. A lot of this BFA stuff I thought was really interesting, like the storyline and the progression and that stuff, but so much of that's out already. Like I feel like if I wanted to watch any of these cutscenes, I'd just go watch My Preach Wow's videos or Taliesin and Evertall's, or you know, whoever's out. Any other content creators probably got all of the cutscenes in BFA or lore breakdown in BFA videos. But for me, it's like I want to get to Zandalari Troll, so I don't very much care about like what's happening, because I'm gonna get there. Nader says, you can do whatever you want, my dude. Yeah, man. I just appreciate feedback too. Like if you telling me that, like that, just if people would be interested, or if you yourself would be interested in seeing the leveling up process, like I'd want to know that, because I'm going to be leveling up anyways. I might as well turn on the camera. You know what I mean? So like that could be actually better time spent, in my opinion, than knocking two birds out with one stone, you know? Alright, I need to sail back. I hope this is completing that achievement for me. Because there's a, what were they calling it? The Tides of Vengeance? That feels like those pirates and stuff feel like the Tides of Vengeance. Through the front door. Alright, so we got some gear items. 10, 10, 26, 26. Helm or shoulders. Those shoulders or this helm. Let's go a helm. For no other reason than it looked cooler than the shoulders. Speak with King Rastakhan. Nader says, hey, I'd level with you. I'm sure we'd have, or there's a few people that would come join that it wouldn't mind leveling as well. That'd be awesome, man. That just let me know what game and let me know the time and the place, and I'd be down. I would like a game that we could start together. Like, I kind of felt it was like weird whenever we were playing Diablo, after having like experienced it in game and knowing like what the progression was while you were still trying to learn the game. I felt like it would have been better if we were still trying to learn the game together, because Pink Rose and I were doing that. Like when Pink Rose and I were leveling in Diablo initially, we were both finding stuff out, and that feels better than just like, kind of to harken back what I was saying at the beginning of the stream, like it feels a lot better than me hopping on my level 120 leveling or running your level 5 through RFC. That's how it felt in Diablo. It's like I'm on a level 120 running your level 5 through RFC. Neither one of us is learning anything, and neither one of us is really feeling a sense of accomplishment afterwards. So like that's what I care a lot more about, is like again at the beginning of the stream I was just like, I live my WoW life, or I live my character's battle to battle. Like that's what I enjoy the most, is like, how can I get back in combat? That's my number one. So if I can just be in combat all day and enjoy that, then that's the best situation for me. But a lot of those games when you're first starting out, like the early levels and stuff, there's that huge wall in a lot of these games of complexity that you have to get through and like learning the UI, learning the keybinds, learning the quest progression system, like that whole kind of like knowledge curve that you have to get through. Some of it's like, I think the Planet Side was a good example of a game like that. If you've ever played Planet Side 2, there's such a huge barrier to entry in just like understanding how like anything in that game works before you can start enjoying it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that you should have to like earn it a little bit to get to the fun part of the game. And I think like some of those games do it well. Oops. But it's more interesting if one party or one member isn't already so far advanced over the other person in learning or knowing about the game or whatever. I feel like it's more interesting to watch people figure it out together. Nader says, damn, purples, LOL. Exactly, it makes for better content too. Yes, yes, exactly. And it's just more fun. Like, I don't have to fake fun. Like, that's what I try the most for, is like, if I feel like I'm having to like fake enjoying something or fake fun, then like that's going to be picked up either by other people or myself, because I watch my streams back and I can tell when I'm having fun doing what I'm doing. Like the Legend of Zelda series and the Throwback Thursdays, I'm having fun whenever I'm playing that. You can hear it in my voice, and you can hear like me getting giddy or like getting like, oh God, here it goes, like I'm gonna die. Like that's me having fun, and like I just enjoy those better whenever I watch them back. So like they say, I've heard that you have to be your own #1 fan whenever you're trying to create things, and at least starting out you have to be. But and it kind of feels right. It feels about right for that to, like the way that applies to me streaming and stuff. Whenever I look back over my content, or whenever I think about turning the webcam on again the next day, because I get burnt out, and like, you know, I got like IRL things I deal with sometimes, and I don't always want to come back to streaming if I'm in a lull. So it really takes a lot to get me motivated to even just turn on the camera to begin with. And I want to feel like my time's well spent and like I'm justified in doing what I'm doing. So like sometimes it's a little work to get the camera back on. And if I'm not enjoying myself in what I'm doing and like the games I'm playing and stuff like that, like there are these little content droughts in WoW where WoW's the only game I'm broadcasting, or if that's all I'm doing, then I don't always want to go back to doing that. So I need these other games to kind of like re-energize and revivify like my passion. So yeah, man, definitely getting other community members like yourself and Pink Rose involved in like playing and vetting new games, I think would be something that would be well worth it, and I think that would be enjoyable both to stream and to watch. So for sure, just hitting the nail right on the head there. This is a little bit more soul-sucking than I would hope. I wanted to be done with this already. I honestly thought within 40 minutes of the beginning of the stream that I would already be on my Zandalari troll. I didn't realize that I had this much to do still. I gotta get through all the Tides of Vengeance. But, okay, we're on the last leg. Okay, it's not that bad. I was gonna say, like, this is getting a little crazy. Like, how much of this I gotta do? So we just have fly out to meet them. This last bit here, I think we're on the last leg of our Zandalari trolls. I guess we really just have to know like all of their culture and background before we can just roll the class. I mean, the only thing I really know about orcs is they start in Durotar and they've been at wars with the Alliance after all these years. Like the little, like, what is it, 5-second intro that you get when you first make your character in vanilla? That's the information I'm going off of here with this orc. And that seems to be okay. Like, I'm level 120 now, 5 or 6 expansions later. So, like, that was enough to get me going for an orc. why do I really got to do all this for a troll, I guess? You know what I mean? It's like, ah! But I guess it's more epic and legendary because they're new allied races in battle for Azeroth with Manduin as the opposing faction leader. Ugh. Come on, let me do this. Honestly, sometimes I need a break too because my throat, like, I'm feeling right now, my throat, I've been yammering on for, what, how long now? An hour and a half almost. And my throat starts to get raw. If I haven't done it for a while, a lot of the times that's the case. I have to, like, work my vocal cords back into talking so much because honestly, I really am an introvert and I really don't, like, go out talking a whole lot for hours on end. But, like, this is like a workout for me doing this type of, like, live broadcasting narration style stuff. And I always wonder, like, I don't want to come off as rambly and, like, but I don't know if that's, like, what people come back for. Like, I don't know if that's what you guys enjoy, just, like, me narrating to myself and some of the stupid shit that I say sometimes. But I get embarrassed sometimes. I'm like, damn, like, what the hell am I going on about? Is anybody listening? You know what I mean? So, like, it takes a little bit to keep this going. But it's fun. It's funny. Like, sometimes I'll just say something stupid and even listening to it back, like, I'll bust out laughing. Like, what the hell is I talking about there? Like, I try not to do too much of this, though. Like, this meta, like, me talking about me talking type stuff. Because I often find that's cringy whenever I go and listen to that back. It's like, okay, just get on with the show. What are you talking about? Nader said, nice. Anyways, I gotta hit it, man. Have a good rest of the stream. I'll be around tomorrow somewhat early if you want to do something. Let me know. Alright, man. Take it easy. It was good hanging out with you today. Thanks for stopping by. I'll just be finishing up this last leg of Zandalari trolls here. I'll probably start them and maybe even level just a little bit before I end the stream, but yeah, that's probably what's going to be happening next. But take it easy, Nader. Later, dude. One more. Oh, I pulled the perfect amount there. Yes, 15. All right, now the big dude. I could have just pulled him a little bit earlier. Two more. Killing an extra two. It can't be helped. Sometimes I try to be efficient to where I don't kill more than I have to on these quests, just for time saving sake. But then sometimes, like, you know, there's a humanitarian side of it. Like, you don't want to have to kill more Alliance scum than what's necessary. Like, it's kind of like, it's the humanitarian side. The Geneva Convention says, you know, a Horde player shouldn't kill more. Oh, I did that, killing an extra 3. Whoops! You see, as I'm sitting there preaching and all that stuff, like, not killing more than what's necessary because of humanitarian and all that, like, I'm needlessly murdering 3 more creatures over there. When I was actually supposed to be going after Blademaster Telemon. Yeah, you better bubble heart. Okay. Hey, it's Rokan. I be making me way to the princess. They got Zul'jin ruins. Okay. Whatever you say, man. Mysterious fog. You're a mysterious fog limiting your vision. Okay. I'm gonna go turn this in and hopefully be just a boot done here. Thank you, Psycho Crusher. Alright, you're welcome. Azerite, okay, thank you. Meet Hex Lord Rawl and Nazmir. Looks like just north of here. No point in flying. You just run it from here. Okay. Almost done. Allied race. Twin Turbo Troll. It's going to be Twin Turbo Zandalari Troll. It's going to be something like Twin Turbo. I don't know if Twin Turbo is going to be the name, but, like, you know what I mean? It's going to be like some souped up troll name. Because you think a troll, and you got to think, like, what's a souped up version of a troll? Like, the name's got to be that. But then also, it's got to be something like, you know, something druidy or something paladin-y. I don't know. For all I know, I'm gonna start rolling the class. I'm gonna see some of the race options or the class selections from the race, and I might even just like at the last minute like switch and just be like, you know what, this class sounds fun to level, and just all of a sudden just like level a completely different class. Because I kind of like, I think I beat paladins to death at this point. Like, each expansion, at least from my own personal playing perspective, from expansion to expansion, I have literally always made a paladin every expansion. So maybe it's time for a change. Maybe 'tis the season for us to be a little bit more jolly in another class. What the hell is happening? Distance. Oh, it's a tracking thing for the goblin. Okay. It's like a sonar. Alright. Newt from Gob Squad. Okay, there's 4 of them. Ticker, Newt, Grit, and Volt. That's another thing, too, is like, there's talk and speculation in the community right now of potentially, like, you know, every other expansion to date has had the implementation of a new class, except for BFA. For whatever reason, Battle for Azeroth was one expansion where we didn't get a new class. But I guess that's kind of made up for in a sense, since we got our allied races. But next expansion, some of the community is speculating we may very well see new classes. New, like, maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say hero classes, but one of the classes that comes to mind, if you look at these, a lot of these island expeditions, and even some of the quests and the main storyline characters, like Mech Engineer Mechanotorque and the Trade Prince Gallywix, those guys, they have these giant mech suits. So, like, they're thinking, and with, like, engineers and stuff like that, making, like, these flamethrowers, a good example, what comes to mind is our Motherlode dungeon. A lot of those types of, like, what are they, like, steampunk / engineers / like goblin gnome people, those may very well end up being a new class that they're thinking is like, I forget what the name was given, but a tinkerer, I think is the name, a tinkerer. And I don't know if engineer covers it. Engineer is like a class, right? So that it wouldn't be an engineer, but a tinkering class may very well be on the horizon next expansion, because one of the examples they said about island expeditions is, like, if you notice the enemies you fight in island expeditions, like, they aren't all just generic classes. Like, they're not all just like priest, paladin, rogue, warrior, etc. Like, one of them specifically is a goblin or a gnome, I think, that's running in a mech suit, and that mech suit, from all appearances, appear to be something like a tank version and a DPS version, or like a utility or a support version of a class. So they're thinking next expansion we may be well overdue for the implementations of a new class or 2 or 3, or who knows. But the Tinkerer class may be a new thing we might see. And I wonder in the back of my mind a little bit, like, what kind of access will a Zandalari troll, like, as I'm creeping up on being able to create one, what class will a Zandalari troll have access to? Or like, you know, maybe even for the Kultirans and the Kultiran male and females, like, maybe they'll have even a different access to, you know, classes if you were to get those unlocked. Like, I don't think I'm anywhere near the required rep on the Alliance side to be able to unlock those, so I probably won't even bother trying to think about that. But even some of the existing races that we have access to already may have the potential to become, you know, one of these newer classes that may or may not be implemented in the game. So I'm kind of in the back of my mind thinking about that even whenever I'm thinking of rolling new classes. I guess I should be listening to the sonar here. Let's see what it says. This way. Okay. I'm just kind of like randomly running around. This guy was stealth, so that makes sense why I didn't find him. But yeah, and then also like I'm curious like even what other classes there might be than that, because I think I want to say the hunters one of the last island expeditions I ran, there was something different about a hunter that I was seeing, that I was thinking, oh, maybe that could even be a new inspired class. But what classes do you guys think? I wonder. I would like to know if you've made it this far in the video. Support the channel by liking, hitting the notification bell if you want to know when more is happening, or if not, just know that Monday through Friday, most days I'm streaming in the morning about the same time. For me, it's 8 a.m. Central Standard Time to about, usually most days if something interesting is going on, I'll go as late as 11 a.m. so 8 to 11. For the first few hours of the day every day, I'll be streaming on the weekdays at least. But yeah, like, subscribe, notification bell, all that stuff. But like in the comments, even if you know of or have an idea what kind of other classes may even be implemented, I'd be interested to know what's out there. Like, what are you guys thinking? Because I've told you what I've heard of. Like, that's about it. And they really seem to be getting us used to the idea of controlling these mechs. Like, what if your 5-minute cooldown, or maybe your 3-minute cooldown, or your stance or your mode that you switch into as your class is a giant mech suit? Like, what if you could just like switch to mech suit mode and become a tank? Or you could switch to artillery DPS mode and just build sentries and turrets. Like, this is the type of stuff I think of whenever I think of a new class that could or could not be like something like a tinkerer or an engineering style class. But then even if, like, what else? Like, are rogues going to branch off into becoming like full-on swashbuckler pirates? Because, I mean, they kind of changed combat rogues into a pirate for the most part, right? With the whole pistols and guns and grappling hooks thing that they're doing now. But like, what else could they be? Like a swashbuckler swordsman style, like a thief class or something? Like, I don't know. There's so many different spins and twists you could put on it. Like a battle mage. Like, what if all of a sudden mages could don plate and mail armor or something, and then you could like imbue your weapons with magical powers, and all of a sudden like turn your sword into, like, you know, some kind of a flame staff or something. Like, I don't know. There's definitely room for some classes that we haven't seen before. Like Necromancer comes to mind with like the Death Knights and the Warlocks. Like, what if there could be like a hero class of a Warlock? What if like somehow you had to like marry your Warlock to a Death Knight so you can get a Necromancer? Or maybe even it takes like a Paladin, a little bit of a Paladin in there. Maybe a Paladin has to fall into the dark arts of a Warlock or something, and corrupt his power of the light and like all that stuff with magical Warlock powers, and you get like a plate wearing Necromancer. Like, that's what I thought the Death Knight was, honestly. But like, you know what I mean. You see where I'm going with this. Like, what other kind of paragons or meta classes could we think of maybe potentially expecting in the not too distant expansions later future? I'm trying to think. Like, Barbarian would be one if you think of warriors and stuff. Like, you know, and WoW would be good enough, I think, to be able to just put a spin on it to where it's like, oh, this definitely isn't a ripoff or complete copy of X from Y game. You know what I mean? I mean, what would they be able to do that's actually interesting? I wonder, that would actually like continue I guess the sky's the limit. There's like really no end to the possibilities in which direction it can take. Because if you just look at the game now in its current state, compare it to the way the game used to be, like back in the vanilla days, I don't think a vanilla WoW player would recognize the current state of WoW as the same game. I mean, obviously orcs and humans and stuff, like you see some similarity in the classes, I mean the races, but even the class abilities, what else is still true from vanilla? I want to say recklessness, that's still a staple. Whirlwind, yeah. So there are still some core, like 2 or 3 abilities from each class that you would recognize, I think. Smite comes to mind for a priest. But they don't work the same. If you just reskinned them, if you just instead of called Smite like Smote, and changed like the orange color to blue, it'd be like, oh, this is a completely different thing. Which I guess is essentially what they did with the animations, like the combat animations and stuff. Whirlwind definitely doesn't look the same as it used to. I'm still curious about Titan. The game Titan. Anybody remember that? Project Titan? It was a super secret WoW that was being developed. I want to say it's already been, like, some of the core, like, stuff from that game may have even already been implemented into World of Warcraft. Maybe WoW just ate it after a while. But I heard they stopped production of that game because too much information was being leaked. But who knows, like, that may or may not be true. Wow. So I interrupted that caster, and they just stood there. That is often not the case. In most cases, when you interrupt a caster, they run in and try to melee you, at least. See, I notice stuff like that. I wonder if anybody else notices things like that. Like, watch this. Yeah, see? You're supposed to melee me. Is this a smarter caster? Nani? You know? Like, let me see. I want to see if it works on this guy. But I'm gonna fight this guy who is a shaman. So we got an elemental shaman here. Lava burst interrupt. Oh, he just goes a lightning bolt. That makes sense. So I got to interrupt a lightning bolt. You can never do that with Dark Iron Bruisers. Oh, by the way, I don't know if anyone realized this or knew this happened, but you can block shoot now. Like, ranged attacks can be blocked. Oh, God. I'm going to die. Don't die. Don't die. Survive. I'm just a dude playing a dude trying to survive fighting another dude. Okay, let's, we need to heal up. We got some band-aids. We can get some band-aids. What? Something shot me. Where? Ah, he's over there. I'm gonna die. Don't die. Father muck. Huh. Look, he's fishing. Because he's by water. Get it? He's got that. I got that. I got that. Is it the same? I wonder if this is teasers. Buon Samdi's fishing. He's got that pole. I want to say I have that pole. No. Bag usage? It's on Epic Pro. Let's check out here. Let's go to Epic Pro. This one. Is it the bone fishing pole? Yeah, he's using the bone fishing pole. Wow. Buon Samdi. You the man. I love Buon Samdi. Pickrose says, hi, Elude. How's you doing today? Hey, Pickrose. What's up? Welcome to the stream. I'm doing well. How about yourself? Are you doing all right? Came in talking to Nader this morning. Nader's, we were talking about other games and stuff and what we could potentially be playing in the future and, like, the state of some of the older games that have been out for a while and kind of revisiting them and stuff. I'm like, I've already hit revered with the Zandalari trolls, but I need to actually do my my Tides of Vengeance quest chain. I was so disappointed. I was like, no, because I had to do all these quests first. But I think I'm almost done. I want to say I'm like very close to wrapping this up and being able to finally roll a Zandalari mage. Or Zandalari mage, where did that come from? A Zandalari troll. I don't know if I would make a mage. No, right? Because I've already got mages. I've got 3 mages. Yeah, no, I would not make a mage. Why did I say mage? Huh. You're a mage, right? Maybe that's what it was. But, yeah, man. That's what we're up to. Just a little bit away from that. I feel my throat has been getting raw. I haven't really done this much talking in a little while. Just the past couple of days, at least. Could be the temperature, too. The temperature's been, like, fluctuating here. In Texas, it's like, I can't tell you in Celsius, but it's been, like, 70 degrees Celsius one day, and then 40 degrees Celsius, or, Celsius, Fahrenheit, rather. 70 degrees Celsius. Yeah, we were boiling over here yesterday. We were getting deep fried. No, Fahrenheit, man. It was like 70 degrees Fahrenheit the other day, and then 40 degrees the other day. Figaro said, be right back. Right on. I'll be here, most likely, trying to get this race unlocked. Alright, what else we got to do? One more mole machine. Well, I guess the Dark Iron Dwarves are invading Nazmir. The Blood Trolls. It's just the Alliance in general, I guess. I'm sure they explain what's happening, but I can't be bothered. I just want my race. Alright, and we got 2 other things. Rokon. Okay, that looks like in here. This is Talamon's mirror image. Usually if you just pay attention to who you're fighting, you can get a good idea of what's happening. And this is that same guy that I ran down and almost killed last time, but he ran away. So now we're fighting his mirror images for whatever reason. Okay. Just to the west here, most likely up in the shack. Here's another mirror image. So I guess we're tracking down his location. Oh, Ragaga. These little casters, man, they don't play. Dark Iron Dwarf Shaman and Void Elf Mages. That could be why I was saying mage earlier. Void Elf Mages. Alright, come on. Let's get this done. Just jump down? What do you think? Am I gonna die? Don't die! Heroic leap, bitches. Zandalari justice, none shall escape. Okay. I be dealing with the Alliance down here. I would have thought they'd be bringing more soldiers to the party. It'd be good to blah blah blah. Okay. Alright. Tell them, Rokon. I think this is it. I think we're about done here. I think this is about the last bit that we need to worry about. I'm so tired of coming to the same cave to fight things over and over all the time. I feel like I'm always coming in this cave. It's like, really? This is like supposed to be a den of a super monstrous creature. We just keep on visiting. What, Light's Radiance? Can I fear him out of that? Yeah, there we go. You don't need to be casting no Light's Radiance on me. Enthralled. Get out of here. Get your weakness off of me. Ha! He died that time. Blade Master. That's another one. Blade Master. Potentially a new race or a class. Witch Doctor. Okay, come on. Let's wrap this up, guys. I'm kind of done doing this type of stuff. Radiant Azurite, bunch of Azurite, okay. Ride Princess Delaudry, Elias Feet, okay. It's like story, story, story. And then it's like vehicle, vehicle, vehicle. Then it's like story, vehicle, story, vehicle. It's like, okay. No, but I mean this is good though. It's mixing it up enough. If it was just like all kill 5 of these, kill 15 of these, I'd be happy. I'd probably already be done with this, but that could probably get monotonous. At least it's not deliver this package from the north part of the zone to the south part of the zone. Deliver this letter from the south part of the zone to the north part of the zone. Deliver this letter from the north part of the zone to the south part of the zone. Go across the continent. Go back across the continent. Go to the other continent. Deliver this letter from the north part of the continent to the south part of the continent. You know, sounds like the vanilla days. This is what I'm getting ready for. This is what we're so excited about. I hope we realize this. Classic's going to come out, and it's going to be deliver this package from Orgrimmar to Undercity. Go back from Undercity to Orgrimmar. Thunderbluff? Question mark? Nothing's in Thunderbluff. Why would anybody do that? Well, this is what you're doing. There's something floating here. Abyssal Scepter? We kind of got a little bit of an army formed here. Uh-oh, something's not right. Alright, she's mounted up, I'll mount up. I don't like this Cycle Crusher, must be investigating for... Okay. Skinematic? Oh, a skinematic. I'll be getting a bad feeling about this. Look at that raptor. They just making me want that mount. I'm not so easily fooled. Aw, snap. We got sent on a wild goose chase. Quick, everybody use your Hearthstone to get in there, to get back within 10 seconds. Oh no, you're just gonna, you're running on foot? Ride back to Zoltazar. Oh, but why don't we can just, I got, my hearth is set to the grace. I can already, I guess we'll, okay. I cannot believe this trick by the Alliance. They sacrifice all these soldiers to bring us away from the city. Those explosions I heard, that must have been the Zandalari fleet. If the Alliance somehow destroyed the fleet, then the harbors are completely defenseless. They will be swarming the city. I'm starting to turn into flirty, hurdy, dirty. Zandalari will not fail to these Alliance. And I swear we will kill every member of the Alliance who is dare strike against us. Okay, well, you know, if you'd have just picked up a Hearthstone and we could have just hearthed. But no, I mean, your Pterodactyl's cool. It's really worth the lives of your entire city to show off your Pterodactyl mechanics so that maybe one day the Blizzard shop would allow me to purchase for the low price of $25. I say that as I have 2 of them. You know, to be fair, let me explain this to you guys. I bought these 2 specifically because they were freaking sweet. They were sweet when they came out. It was awesome. And I still, like, I really love this mount. You go Boomkin, and you're all starry looking, and you're riding on this glorious, majestic beast. People stop what they're doing and they look, okay? That's one reason why. This, I don't ever ride this. I don't know why I got this. This was back in just like Cata days, I think. Don't worry about that guy. This one though, however, you know, even for both of these, back whenever I bought those, honestly, I honestly thought that they would go away. I thought, this is my chance. If I buy it now, I'll have it forever. And one day, 10 years from now when I'm playing this game, I'll make some level 20 noob stop and drool for 5 seconds thinking, that's a badass mount. Maybe he'd even whisper me. He'd be like, hey, Psycho Crusher. Hey, max level 120 warrior Psycho Crusher. That's an awesome mount. How did you get that? And I thought I'd be able to say, well, noob, with all your noobly wonder and amazement at my majestic mount. Bow down, kneel while you talk to me, noob, and let me explain to you what this is. This is a mount. See, back in my day, when I leveled in World of Warcraft, I could tell him, you know, some convoluted story about how, you know, I was able to buy this on the shop and you can't get it, ha 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 ha. But they kept it. They still have it. It's still in the shop. So, ever since then, you can see the first 2 mounts, the first 3 really, the second one I bought was like, I think this came in later. This was something else, but these first couple that I bought, I honestly thought that they would get removed and nobody else would ever have them. So now, ever since then, I haven't bought another mount. Like, that just took the incentive for me to buy the mount away, because I know now, at any point, like, whenever I'm feeling, you know, froggy, I can jump and just buy another mount whenever I want, and there's like no scarcity, no rarity, no prestige or anything other than maybe I don't want the pixels of my mount to be the Battlelord's Bloodthirsty War Rim. Maybe I want it to be a freaking sweet, sparkly, starry mount of uberness. But at any point I could just like, I want to buy a different mount now. And switch it up and just have a different mount. So it's like, and anybody else can have that mount too. So it's like, there's really, what's the point at that point? Like, if anybody can get it, and there's really no other swag or prestige than just having a different mount than the default mount or any other mount you could get in the game just with effort. How do I, is this a raid? Hold on. Defeat Jaina? No. Hold on a second. Did I? Is that it? Tides of Vengeance complete. Okay. So let's see. Let's find out. I wonder. We're going to find out now. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. The last leg of this whole Tides of Vengeance campaign is defeat Jaina Proudmoore, which I want to say is like the end boss of current progression right now in the battle for Zandalari, which I may or may not get to see, like maybe LFR. And that's also like, you know, for the same reason why I don't buy any mounts off the shop anymore. That same like amount of prestige that you could have gotten, like it's like paid to be prestigious, buying the mounts. Like for that same reason, I don't run the raids in like a organized guild community, because it's like, why not just hit this button, go over here, and then yes, of course, it's not available yet. I understand, like, oh no, like people are clearing that raid and I can't do it right now. But just wait a month. Like, wait a couple weeks. This will turn white, and then you could do the same thing they're doing. And just don't watch the news, don't follow the videos until after you've done it. And then after you've done it, like, turn WoW back up on your YouTube list, and you also can participate in all the talking and conversation. It's not going anywhere. It'll be there. Here it is! Here it is! Zandalari Troll. Okay, so we've got the Zandalari Troll unlocked. Alright. The Zandalari are a proud people whose origins date back to the early days of Azeroth's history. Their fierce warriors ride dinosaurs into battle, and they possess one of the most formidable naval fleets in the known world. So Zandalari Trolls equals Navy? Question mark? Okay. Racial traits. Regenerating. They're regenerating. Conceal to heal yourself rapidly over a short period of time. Conceal? Are you for reals? They can stealth? This guy's going to go stealth and heal? Okay. Embrace of Daloa. Beseech Daloa, or Aloa, obtaining 1 of 6 powerful boons. Oh, okay. So it's like rando. You can just like rando get buffed. That's kind of neat. I've never read these to like, surprisingly enough. I've never actually looked at the race until I was able to get it. And this is how I think. This is the part of this is part of my game philosophy that I think keeps it interesting, is like, I'm not like starved to know what the next thing that's coming out in the game is so I can complain about it or anything. Like, I just wait. I just like, oh, this is coming out. I'll glance over at it, know it's there, and just move my attention somewhere else and be like, I'm not going to look at it again until I can do that. But here we are, City of Gold. Discover more gold from creatures. That's nice, especially for an alt. Pterodax Swoop. Summons a Pterodax. It reduces your falling speed. Ah, okay. That's pretty interesting. Fall speed reduction? Does that happen every time I jump off? Huh. Interesting. And then here's the female version. I'd probably make a male version. The Herculean upright male. So this is like, we got upright orcs. This is my orc. He's an upright orc now. He's not a Magar, but I chose to fix his posture. Now we got the upright trolls. We're actually the tallest class in the game. I don't know if the Zandalari are as tall as the regular trolls, but I remember that back from the vanilla days, the trolls being the tallest class in the game. They had like a little infographic like chart of all the classes lined up, or the races lined up next to each other, and the troll was on the left side being the tallest, even though he was hunched over. They showed him like standing up when they stretch. So if you look at a troll that just stands there, he'll be standing there for a second, and then he'll like do the stretch animation from idling, and he'll actually be a lot taller than any other class in the game. And it was like Taurens, Orcs, yada yada yada. Of course, he would squat after I say they stand upright. Don't be a bastard, Lock Soul. Okay, so question. Do I create the character here where all the rest of my Horde characters are? Or do I continue migrating to a different, more populated server? Look, there he is. See how tall he is? But he's still a hunchback troll, right? So you want something that kind of programs your subconscious to be more upright, because your posture really affects like your mood and your outlook and stuff. So like your physiology, you know, kind of helps dictate your psychology type idea. So if you're like a flea infested itchy cow, then you'll start mooing. Upright. See, had to get that upright. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I want to make one here, if I want to make one on that other server. I think I will. I've been disconnected. No. All right, give me a second. I'm gonna go black on y'all for a second. I'm still here. Don't worry. I know I played the music. Don't worry. I'll get rid of it. There you go. I'm still here. I just got disconnected for some reason. Back. Just got to relog in. Let me get that going right now. Oh. Are we gonna... Oh, did it happen? Oh, I think it happened. Oh. You know what? Okay, we're going to start the music, guys. Just know that I got the trolls, and I'll be making one because the servers went down. Remember the realm restarts? It's just a restart. It'll come back up, but at this point my throat's pretty raw too, so maybe I should. That's a good stopping point. I'll probably think about this a little bit and then roll the troll. I don't know if rolling the troll is going to be a paladin or a druid. Honestly, I'm thinking druid, because right now I have a druid, and if you think about druids as a class, like, they get 4 specs: healer, caster DPS, melee DPS, and tank, which is also melee. So if you split those up, you got a melee side and a caster side, or a melee side and a range side. So I was thinking I'll make Epic Pro my healer / caster DPS, since he's already pretty much set up that way from Warfronts. And then on the melee side, because I also enjoy the way the melee tank looks on the Zandalari for the trolls. I mean, I've only glanced at it. Honestly, I can't really remember what the details or specifics of the skin looks like. But I know that traditionally, trolls in general look like way more badass in kitty form and bear form than the cows. Or at least to my liking and my taste. So I'm going to make a Zandalari druid, I believe. I think this is what's going to happen. This is my best guess. And when I roll it, it's going to be my melee tank and melee DPS druid. So most likely, that's what you can expect, guys. But still trying to log in because it says restarts, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen right now. I need to get up and stretch my legs and do some stuff around the house anyway. So until next time, folks, I appreciate you tuning in, and We'll see you then. Peace.